So here we go, guys. Northern Exposure. Dr. Fleischman's home for 4 years or 5 years. Paying off that debt. If you've seen Northern Exposure, let's give you a rundown. So he's a doctor from New York, goes to Columbia University, and then he needs to pay his loan off, right? Columbia University is not cheap, right? Not $800,000, right? Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So he signs this contract with the Alaskan government where the Alaskan government, aka the Alaska taxpayers, will pay for his schooling, but he has to come up to Alaska and work in a place of their choosing for a predetermined amount of time until his loans and debts are paid off. Doesn't sound too bad. So that's what he thinks. So he goes up and he thinks, oh, I'm going to be putting in Anchorage or Fairbanks, and I'll be a doctor at a big hospital and stuff. But no, that's not the case. And they tell him that he's going to the Alaskan Riviera. So he goes, okay. So he gets off the bus. He gets picked up by a fellow there. And then they take him into the town. And he starts looking at the town. And it's like a town of like a couple hundred people. And, he's from New York, right? New York City. So, and he's like, oh my God. And so that basically the show is all about his struggles living in this tiny little town up in Alaska. But the catch of it is that it was shot as if it's in Alaska, but it's really here, Roslyn, Washington. So this entire town, everything, the roads all around the area, this was all used for Northern Exposure. So it's kind of cool. So I'm trying to see if I recognize anything from the show. And if you have not seen the show, I highly recommend checking it out. It came out in 1990. It was on the air. It's about 6 seasons of it. It's really, really good. It's funny. Quite insightful too in some ways. It gives you a good look into small town culture as well, what it's like living in a small town. And I've been to some towns, without naming names, that definitely feel like Northern Exposure. When you go there, you definitely get that feeling, right? So it's cool to actually come to the filming location of Northern Exposure. And I'm a film buff, obviously, because I make videos and stuff like that, right? So I really like movies, and so one of my big things on my channel is going to old movie sites, like Stewart was one, Headley, all kinds of cool places where iconic movies and TV shows and stuff was shot, because I think it's really cool. So anyways, guys, this is Roslyn. This is basically Northern Exposure. If anybody's really, really into Northern Exposure, it's an hour and a half from Seattle to get to Cicely, Alaska. And like I said, guys, there's Northern Exposure on the TV show, but there's also, the town had a purpose. It was a coal mining town. Coal was first discovered in 1883. They started mining it in 1885, and then the town was plated in 1886. And it was a hard-working coal mining town on the railway, North Pacific Railway, coal mining town. So it actually has a history of being a mining town, which I think is part of the reason why it did so well for the character of Northern Exposure, because it's one of these old Pacific Northwest mining towns. You can't fake that, right? You gotta have a real legacy behind you to really have that, and Roslyn does. Look, that's the main street. Barbershop, 1886. Yeah, it's exactly like old BC mining towns. The Brick, right here. This is the Brick. This would be Hauling Vancouver's restaurant.
Student improvement.
I totally didn't see that. Alrighty, guys, so here we are, Roslyn, Washington. And that's the Brick. So the Brick was the main pub that everybody in town in the show would go to. It was kind of like the only restaurant in town that you could eat at. And Hauling Vancouver was this Yukon trapper who moved to Alaska and opened up a tavern. And so he runs the tavern, and then everybody in town has to go to the tavern, and it's a whole thing. But this is the Brick, guys. Oldest continuously operating tavern in Washington State. The Brick Tavern, 1889. And anybody that's seen the show, is no introduction needed. This is Roslyn's Cafe on the intro to the TV show there, Roslyn's Cafe. But it's instead of Roslyn Cafe, in the TV show it says Roslyn's Cafe with an S. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, guys, here we are, Roslyn. This is KBAR, KBHR. This is the town radio station, Cicely, Alaska town radio station. So, this is the KBAR radio station set from the television show Northern Exposure, which was a weekly comedy drama series on CBS from 1990 to 1995. Northern Exposure, set in the fictional town of Cicely, Alaska. Most exterior scenes were filmed in and around Roslyn, while most interior scenes were filmed on a soundstage in Bellevue and later Redmond. The show centered on New York Jewish doctor Joel Fleischman, Rob Morrow, who paid off his medical school scholarship from the state of Alaska by serving 5 years in the remote town of Cicely. Other prominent characters included entrepreneur and former astronaut Maurice Minifield, Barry Corbin, bush pilot and love-hate interest Maggie O'Connell, Janine Turner, barkeep Holling Vancouver, John Cullum, and his squeeze wife Shelley Tambo, Cynthia Geary, native filmmaker and shaman Ed Chigliak, Darren Burrows, shoekeeper Ruth Ann Miller, Peg Phillips, and receptionist Marilyn Warland, Elaine Miles. However, the town's heart and soul and voice belonged to Chris in the morning. Chris Stevens, John Corbett. Chris was not just the DJ that occupied KBAR's airwaves, but also the philosopher that studied Jung, Nietzsche, Thoreau, and all the greats while in the joint. He was also the local clergy, having sent away to an ad and in the back of the Rolling Stone. The KBAR radio station set one of the few remaining pieces of Northern Exposure still in Roslyn today. Okay, so it's a historic building. Northwestern Improvement Company. Oh, is this a miners' memorial? Yeah, this is Roslyn Ronald Cle Elum Miners' Memorial. Coal Miners' Memorial. Miners killed. Number 1 mine explosion, 1892. Mine number 4 explosion, 1909. Lots of guys, man. Coal mining is a very dangerous job. Look at all the names. That's the downtown streets there. So this is the brick, guys. Holling Vancouver's establishment here. So we got the radio station, we got the brick, Cicely's gift shop. Northwestern Mining Company, Cicely, Alaska. So this is Dr. Joel Fleischman's store, guys. Look, Dr. Joel Fleischman.
Here, do you want me to put it in?
So this is where if you got sick or you had problems, obviously, right, you'd come. Cicely, Alaska. So this was his practice. So he was forced, basically indentured slavery, in his eyes, is what he says on the show, to work for the state of Alaska to pay off his Columbia medical school debts that was funded by the state of Alaska. And Maurice Minifield, the kind of the town entrepreneur, he holds Fleischman to his contract, because Maurice Minifield's basically like, that's my money that I paid for your education. Just walking down, we went to the Northwest Mining Company. It's now a gift shop, but it was Joel Fleischman's office. We're gonna head to the museum, Roslyn Museum, because Roslyn has a history of coal mining. So we're gonna go check that out. Yep, museum. Oh, that's the kitty. That's the Roslyn kitty. Roslyn kitty. Okay, guys, this is Village Pizza. This is on the TV show. They don't really go in here much, but apparently pizza's really good here, but this was on the show too. So this is Ruth Ann's store. They only used the first part of it, but this would be her store, guys. Roslyn coal mining. In 1886, North Pacific Railroad mining engineers located large seams of coal, and the town of Roslyn was founded. 35 years of extensive mining followed. Coal mining, though dirty and dangerous work, attracted large numbers of immigrants to Roslyn: Serbians, Croatians, Poles, Italians, Lithuanians, and others. During an 1888 strike, the North Pacific Coal Company brought in hundreds of African Americans as strikebreakers. Despite a rough reception, many made Roslyn their home. In the first decades of the 20th century, competition from other mining regions and sources of energy, such as oil, led to the slow decline in coal mining in Roslyn. In 1963, economics forced the closure of the last large commercial mine in the area. Today, 4/5 of the coal deposits still remain. In 1978, Roslyn's historic district was placed in the National Register of Historic Places. So we're on Pennsylvania Avenue. This is Pennsylvania Avenue in 1892. Hasn't changed too much. Streets are a lot wider. But you can see Pennsylvania, right? Modern times. Oh, the kitty's on the car.
I know.
Cat just chilling on the car. So here we go, guys. Let's look at some of the equipment. So this is the trains. Electric mule. So this is a trip of mining cars, guys. So that's the head of the machine here. Coal car. These coal cars belong to the Northwestern Improvement Company, which was the coal department of the Northern Pacific Railroad. These cars were designed and made locally by the NWI Co. machine shop located in Roslyn. Man cars. These cars are known as man cars, and the miners would ride them to their place of work in the mines. 2 miners would ride, one on each side of the car, and hold on to the steel rail in the middle of the car. These seats seemed to be at an odd angle, but when they started down the slope of the mine, the miners would be staying close to straight up. Yeah, you can see, look, so they got the rail, you'd hold on to this rail, and then the seats that are angled. But when you're going down an angle, it equalizes itself so that it's normal. So we've got the electric mule, the coal cars, the man cars. These coal cars were used by Roslyn Cascade Coal Company, locally known as Patrick's Mine, located just outside of Ronald. The mine was a private company and not connected to the NWI Co. mines. The yard switch was used at the NWI number 9 mine to switch the tracks that brought the coal trains under the tipple to be loaded with coal. The number 9 tipple had 3 sidings for loading coal trains. Sullivan mining cart, we've seen these before, eh? Sullivan carts. Sullivan ironclad continuous coal cutters. These coal cutting machines were used in the Roslyn coalfield mines. These are used to undercut the coal so it can be blasted loose from the vein and loaded into coal carts. Coal cutting. So it cuts big slabs so it can be dislodged from the vein. They use those cutters, those wire cutters there. And there's a trail, guys, that goes from Ronald down to Cle Elum. And you can walk the mining trail and you see all the mines. There's tons of mines, guys. Along this ridge here, all the way along, all the way along, all the way along, down to Ronald. And then Cle Elum southeast, end of the field there. So the coal field stretches all the way from Ronald down to Cle Elum. And then the coal mines trail goes all the way along. The railway used to go through there. The North Pacific Railway used to go through there. But they ripped the railway tracks up and turned it into a trail, a walking trail. So it's like a mining heritage walking trail. Still coal, guys. 63, last mine shut down. They left most of the coal in there, right? There just wasn't a demand for it anymore. Diesels and electricity had kind of done away with the need for coal-fired steam engines and stuff like that. The coal still remains, guys. So there's still coal there. Obviously, you saw the miners' memorial. You see how dangerous coal mining is. You can imagine back in the day, this town would have been a rough mining town, right? So 1886. And they first suspected coal in the area in 1883. Prospectors there. And they were prospectors for the North Pacific Railway because they were looking for coal. And the North Pacific Coal Company, it was a subsidiary of the North Pacific Railway. This is the museum, guys. Just some basic history about Roslyn and coal mining and stuff like that. But you can see the trip. The coal mines have really low head clearance because they're just basically cutting out what they need to extract from the vein. Okay, guys. So we just left Roslyn. Coal mining town, Northern Exposure. That was really cool. I'm a big Northern Exposure fan personally, so that was really fun. But even if you aren't into, the show and all that, there's still the coal mining history, forestry, just an old, rugged, working man town from the Pacific Northwest. Really cool town. Really nice to meet some of the townspeople, talk to some people. It was really fun. Good day trip or a good weekend trip. Lots to do. Make sure you get the map. Do the walking tour, gives you all the things. So we're coming into Cle Elum now. We're driving along the coal seams, guys. So Ronald, which is up to the north, from Roslyn, that's where it starts. And then there's the coal mining railway trail, which is now the walking trail, that goes all the way down to Cle Elum. And so we're going to go to the Cle Elum train yard, interpretive trail, I guess you'd call it. And Cle Elum marks the end of the coal fields, right? Roslyn coal fields. And they barely scratch the surface, guys, for extracting coal from Roslyn. Alrighty, guys, so here we go. Railroad cars. Northern Pacific Railway. NP 1743. So they were chartered in 1864 by Congress, 38th Congress of the United States. And then construction commenced from St. Paul, Minnesota, near the Great Lakes there, to Puget Sound, Seattle. But they couldn't get the main line, direct line to Seattle up until 1888 when the tunnel was completed because of the whole Snoqualmie Pass and the precipitousness of the trail and everything. So they had a roundabout thing going to Tacoma there and then up to Seattle initially. But then once the tunnel was completed, that allowed the Northern Pacific to go straight into Seattle and for coal. But you can see Great Northern Railway, James Jerome Hill, Canada. Did a lot of railways in Canada, but that's the Great Northern logo, guys. Iconic logo. And they were competitors, the Great Northern. The Great Northern was funded by James Jerome Hill. He bought up all the land grants and did it all himself. Whereas the North Pacific Railway was done by the government. All the land grants came from the government. And he was a Canadian, guys. That's the weirdest thing about it. But he got screwed over by the CPR. Him and Shaughnessy, Baird and Van Horn, they all had bitter rivalry, and he got cut out by CPR there. So then he decided, you know what, I'm going to go out on my own. And he started the Great Northern and then became competition for the CPR, the Great Northern Railway. But we're in Cle Elum Railway Interpretive Trail. There was a lot of, as you can see, a lot of railway history. Bottom of the Roslyn coal fields, Cle Elum. Small little mining town in the mountains, railway town. So there's trains all over the place. There was a Burlington Northern caboose. Oh, it's on the side of the highway there, Snoqualmie. We'll pass it again, but this is the Southern Pacific Railroad, another good one. 4243. And North Pacific, Great Northern, Santa Fe, and Burlington Northern were all amalgamated into what is now BNSF, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway. And they come up all the way down south and all the way up into Canada as well. Alrighty guys, here we are at Cle Elum Station. Cle Elum. So big coal railway, the rail yard trail, the Milwaukee Road at South Cle Elum. Okay, so we're here, depot, diesels take over, end of an era, substation, the bungalows, moving freight, supporting coal, oil, and smoke, the roundhouse, the turntable. There's lots here. Milwaukee Road. So this is the rail grade, guys. This would have been the rail grade, right? It's now a walking trail. And they used to service the coal mines all up and down here, loading terminals and processing facilities from here all the way down. But Cle Elum's kind of the end, so up towards north, right? Up towards Roslyn. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed Cle Elum, Roslyn, trains, coal mining, and just some fun stuff about, media and culture and everything like that. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified. And Sasquatch Prospector out.